We're now joined by Simon Mabon. He's a lecturer in international relations at Lancaster University. Thanks so much for joining us, Simon. Do you think we're on the verge of seeing the Syrian regime actually take the city of Aleppo, or can the rebels regroup at this point and continue to fight this battle?
Well, it certainly looks like the Syrian regime is about to retake Aleppo. And I think that despite much of the rhetoric coming out of the opposition groups who say this is not the end, that we will regroup and that we will fight back against the regime, it looks like, given what's happening on the ground, that the regime of Bashar al-Assad is all but close to retaking the city of Aleppo, regardless of the humanitarian price that it seems to want to pay.
And that the price is almost obscene now, the number of people who've had to flee and who've been killed in this battle and will now continue to suffer.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, every day you look at the news and you hear about tens, hundreds, thousands of people that have been killed, maimed, wounded, displaced from their homes, have had their daily lives affected and essentially destroyed by the conflict there. And this is, in essence, a generation of Syrians, of generations of people from Aleppo that have had their lives destroyed, people who will not be able to have education, who've lost out on the chance to live lives that we all take for granted. It truly is the heaviest of all possible prices.
But will anti-Assad, the foreign powers involved in this proxy war, step up now to support and further arm these rebel groups to prevent Aleppo from falling back to the regime itself?
To be honest, I've lost count of the number of times that I've been asked this question where X event has happened, there's been some kind of atrocity, and then we've been asked, well, surely now the world's eyes have to turn to Aleppo and to Syria, and the world has to do something to stop this from happening again. And yet nothing happens again and again and again. These atrocities are being committed. And I think that this just tells you the nature of the stalemate at the international level between the US and Russia, between the Iranians and the Saudis. It's just really cementing these divisions and just making the people of Syria having to pay the heaviest price.
Simon, we've heard it said over and over that Aleppo will decide the outcome of the war in Syria as a whole. Do you really think that's the case?
Well, I think symbolically it's seen to be the case. Strategically, perhaps not, because it looks like Aleppo is about to fall, but it doesn't look like the Syrian conflict is going to be over anytime soon, at least not if you believe the rebels and what they're saying. But I think symbolically it's a huge loss for the rebels. Aleppo has long been considered to be the epicenter of this conflict in the state. And it's Syria's second city, it's its most vibrant economic city, or rather it was before the conflict. So sure, it's got a serious, important legacy and legitimacy and symbolic power. Now, having fallen and the rebels losing control, this will hurt them massively. Now, whether they can regroup or not, I think it's perhaps a little too early to say, but we'll certainly see in the coming weeks and months whether this is the end of the civil war and Assad retaking all of Syria, or whether it is just another battle in what's proven to be a brutal, intractable war.
So no one can say with any real degree of certainty that there is an end game in sight here?
I don't think so. I think a number of people will make claims and Assad will come out and say this is the end. We are retaking all of Syria one city at a time, and you will either starve or surrender. And that's what's happened in Aleppo. People have had to give up because they don't want to die. So I think what we're seeing is it's a gradual retaking of the Syrian state by Assad's forces.
Okay. Simon Mabon, we're going to have to leave it there. Thanks so much for joining us from University of Lancaster.